Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for taking time out of your day to watch the video. I do appreciate it. We have some very interesting PlayStation topics to go over and discuss in this video. We have three different things we're going to be focusing on. The first has to do with PlayStation once again coming out and rejecting a Game Pass-like model, making it clear that this is not something they plan to pursue, and they are explaining once again how they are prioritizing quality. And if they don't do that, if they decide to go the other way and make a Game Pass-like service where they drop their games in day and date, it will lower the quality of their games. And not only that, but it would ultimately lower the amount of investment they can make into their first party and into their studios. So I definitely have a lot to say about that. We're going to cover that. We're also talking about Sony announcing that they are investing $300 million into PlayStation Studios and into game development. This is on top of all the money that they've already confirmed to have invested into the studios and into their games so far. So obviously some very good news. And then finally, we have a little bit of an update on the Bungie acquisition. So before we get into it, do me a big favor. Please consider hitting the like button to help the video out and show your support. It really does help the videos more than you know. And if you are new to the channel, consider hitting that subscribe button as well. So we're getting into the first topic here, which takes us to Genki over on Twitter, where they say here, Sony CFO Hiroki Totoki, full quote, on PlayStation AAA titles being put straight onto subscription services. So this is what he had to say. Quote, I will refrain from making comments on the competitor's strategy. Our current thinking is to have development costs / appropriate R&D investment for quality products, and that will improve the platform and also improve the business in the long run. AAA type titles on PS5, if we distribute that on the subscription services, we may need to shrink the investment needed for that, and that will deteriorate the first party title quality, and that is our concern. So we want to make sure we spend the appropriate development costs to have solid products / titles to be introduced in the right manner, end quote. So when I tell you that this quote caused quite the conversation online, I think you guys know what I'm talking about. It seems that there were quite a few people who didn't like what Sony was saying here because they just don't want to believe what Sony is saying. What they would rather believe is that they, as a consumer, as an armchair business analyst, know how to run a brand like PlayStation, a platform like PlayStation, better than Sony. They know better than Sony, and they made this clear that what Sony is saying right now is just simply greed, that Sony can actually maintain the same quality and they can maintain the same level of investment if they were to copy Microsoft and do a day and date Game Pass-like model. I mean, why should we listen to Sony when we can listen to all of these individuals on the internet who have no experience in any of this? You see, what I find particularly ridiculous is that most of the people who are saying this are not the people that are actually buying these games or playing on this platform, or at the very least, they make it clear that PlayStation is not their preferred platform, but yet they feel as though they know what's best for the platform. But I'm here to tell you that I think most PlayStation fans, now I don't want to say that I'm speaking for all PlayStation fans because I'm not, but I do think that what I'm about to say, I am speaking for quite a few PlayStation owners, PlayStation fans, people who have been playing on the platform for many years. This is what we want to hear. We don't mind buying our video games, and I don't know why there are so many people on the internet who just can't accept this fact. It's okay to want a good deal. It's okay to want to get your video games at a good price, at a good deal, for a bargain, right? But it's also okay to want quality and be okay with paying for that. Did any of these people take a second to think that maybe Sony is saying this and doing this because it's true? This is the most important point I can make. That is, maybe, just maybe, Sony isn't actually lying to its customer base just for the sake of squeezing them for every last dollar. Maybe, just maybe, it is true that the quality of their games would actually begin to dip. Maybe not immediately, but certainly over time, if they were to do this, maybe, just maybe, it's true that Sony could not continue to invest the same type of money that they are into their studios, into their game development, to make them bigger, better every time. Maybe they wouldn't be able to do that if they decided to do a Game Pass-like model. And this is the final point I want to make here before we move on to the next topic, because I know I'm kind of ranting right now. People need to understand that there is an inherent difference between Sony as a company and Microsoft as a company. And this is the difference. There are a lot of things Sony cannot afford. I mean, literally, monetarily speaking, cannot afford to do that Microsoft absolutely can afford to do. And what you see with Microsoft, AAA games, and Game Pass, and I mean them just buying publishers the way they have, spending all that money. First it's $7.5 billion, then it's $68 billion, plus all the money they're investing in their studios to develop these games. They're bleeding money. That's what Microsoft is doing. That's what Xbox is doing, but it doesn't matter because Microsoft as a company can eat that cost and it's nothing. It's barely even a dent, if that. Sony cannot do that. They cannot operate that way. And I think a lot of people just don't want to hear that, but that's the truth. So Sony is just doubling and tripling down on what they do best, which is we make the highest quality games in the industry. We make games that people love, that people, flock to. And what's the number one thing about these games? They're bigger, they're better, they're more refined, right? And the fact that Sony wants to continue to invest in that and invest in their studios, which are the best studios in the world, I love that. This is exactly what I want to hear from PlayStation. So I just get a little bit tired of hearing, these individuals who, again, it's not their preferred platform. They don't care about these games as much as we do. They don't care about PlayStation Studios as much as we do. But yet every time we hear something like this come from Sony, they're the first ones to go around telling everybody that they know how to run the PlayStation business better than the executives and the people there at Sony right now. It's unbelievable. It really is. But that's the whole thing here. I think what Hiroki Totoki and what Sony is saying, I think it's great news. And just to kind of back this up, because I know a lot of you are big fans of Sean Layden. Sean Layden actually replied to this tweet with a GIF of his own, basically agreeing with Hiroki Totoki and agreeing with Sony and making it clear that yes, this is exactly correct. What Hiroki Totoki is saying is exactly correct, and that's what he says with his GIF here. But before I continue ranting, we're going to move on to the next topic, which is a really positive one. Sony is investing $300 million to release first-party games on multiple platforms. This kind of caught some people off guard, although I don't think it should. But let's read what's being said here. This is coming from PlayStation Lifestyle. It says, Sony's first-party games have sold incredibly well during the last 3 months, but the company isn't resting on its laurels. During the most recent financial results, Sony revealed they are investing a further $300 million into their first-party studios with the aim of strengthening their games and releasing them on multiple platforms. Speaking during the latest earnings call, Sony clarified that they will be investing approximately $308 million in its current first-party PlayStation studios. This money will not be used for any more acquisitions, which will come from a separate pot of money. Instead, the $300 million will be aimed at strengthening the portfolio from Sony and developing more first-party games like God of War Ragnarok, Marvel's Spider-Man 2, and Marvel's Wolverine. Sony will then be deploying that software on multiple platforms. Those multiple platforms weren't clarified, although their games are already released on PS5, PS4, and PC. The statement is most likely to be referring to just those 3 platforms rather than expanding to other consoles like Xbox. Sony's first-party game sales were up 84% fiscal year Q4 2022 when compared to the same time last year. Of course, Sony released games like Uncharted Legacy of Thieves Collection, Horizon Forbidden West, and GT7 between January and March 2022, while there were no first-party releases during those 3 months in 2021. On the other hand, sales of third-party games were down throughout the entire fiscal year, despite the release of PlayStation exclusives like Ghostwire Tokyo, Babylon's Fall, and Sifu. The first-party sales more than made up for that deficit, though. As revealed earlier, a total of 70.5 million games were sold on PS5 and PS4 in the last quarter, an increase of 6.6 million from the same period last year. So this is some pretty significant news, guys. Essentially, to break this down and to just, simplify it as much as I can, Sony is literally doubling and tripling down on their studios and the, quality that these studios deliver with their games. They want to be able to feed more money to these studios so that way they can continue to do what they do, not only more efficiently, but hopefully better, and continue to see that growth. And, again, as a PlayStation fan, as somebody where this is my preferred platform, and I always look forward to Sony's games being announced, built up to and then released, this is music to my ears. This is what I want to see. I want to see Sony continuing to invest more and more of the money that they're making back into PlayStation Studios. And here's the best part. This is absolute proof for those who didn't believe when Sony said we need to increase the price of our games for PS5, so on and so forth. We're doing this so we can continue to roll it over and invest more money into these studios. This is a great example of that. And I really want to put emphasis on that because, again, armchair business analysts will come out and tell you that, no, Sony just wants to, again, squeeze you for all you're worth. They're not actually going to be taking that money and doubling down on their studios and reinvesting it. Here's proof that that's actually what they're doing. This $300 million, again, is on top of what they've already invested, which is undoubtedly hundreds upon hundreds of millions of dollars. So all in all, this is some really good news that we're hearing from PlayStation, and frankly, it gets me very excited about the future of PlayStation Studios and, what they're going to be able to continue to output. But the final thing I want to let you know here very briefly is that Sony also made it clear that they are expecting the Bungie acquisition to close by the end of 2022. It says, while forecasting the 2022 fiscal year, the report states this forecast is based on the assumption that the acquisition of Bungie, which is currently under review by the relevant authority, will close in the third quarter, ending in December or on December 31st, 2022. So obviously that could change, but this is just Sony making it clear that this is what they're expecting and what they're anticipating. And it's likely that as long as they don't run into any problems, this is what's going to happen. So there you go. Some really good news overall regarding PlayStation. I wanted to be sure to make this video and share this news and this info with you guys. So let me know your thoughts about this down in the comments below. I'll definitely be interested to see what you have to say. Leave the video a like if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new. Hit the bell notification icon and feel free to share the video out on top of all that. But until next time, guys, take care.